Welcome everybody. We are holding here in the story of the Chochom and Tam. Welcome Nancy, Ruben. Hi guys. We're in this book on and around page 195, and we're going to be continuing today to see a little bit more into some of the deep understandings from Rav Kivak on the current state of the story. And once again, there'll be some things that are very, very shaykh, very practical to all of us, and very intuitive and deep and beautiful ideas. So let's get right into it. The place where we are in the story is that, and what we said last time, is that the Chochom and the Tam are now getting reunited, and they meet each other, and the Chochom comes out with great simcha. The Tam comes out with great simcha to see the Chochom. The simple one comes out with tremendous happiness to see the wise one. And Rabbi Nachman explains to us, and Rav Kivak explains that what's going on over here is that we have to know that when we're faced with this type of what we like to call toxic consciousness, when we start going down a downward spiral in our thoughts and in our mind, and we start getting into one of those very negative places, the way to deal with it is to remember to go out with simcha, with happiness, with love, and to say, here is my, Hashem put me in this place, and I now have an opportunity to light up this place, to bring the light of Hashem into this place. Hashem gave me a special mission that I'm going to be in a place of difficulty and darkness, and I have the ability and the opportunity to light a candle in that place, to show, even in such a dark place, the greatness of Hashem. So, in other words, to appreciate that every place I find myself is an opportunity to bring a new light. That's kind of where we left off. So, what we say over here, and we said over there, by the way, that's really, it's like the entire hashkafa. It's Jewish philosophy, really, in a nutshell. It's the entire hashkafa outlook of all of Judaism. It's why Klal Yisrael had to go into Mitzrayim, into the worst, darkest place, was in order to bring a special light into that place. It's why creation took place in the first place, that Hashem made a tzimtzum and limited his light, his all-encompassing light, and made a place of darkness in order to show the light of Hashem within that place. Right? It's really the whole entire purpose of everything. Nothing less than that. And so we have to be very careful that when we find ourselves in these dark places and with dark thoughts, difficult thoughts, tumadik thoughts, impure thoughts, whatever they are, that we don't allow them to pull us down and keep us down. Rather, we should run out with simcha, with happiness, say, here's a chance for me to jump into the wagon of the Chochom, to go into that place and bring an idea of light, to bring an idea of tshuva, maybe, an idea of tamimus, of holy simplicity, an idea of emunah into such a place. And it doesn't, I'm sure it doesn't fall on deaf ears that we find ourselves kind of globally in this situation right now. Tremendous amount of darkness in the world, and craziness happening, and all kinds of ridiculous wisdoms and philosophies going around in the world. Insanity is happening out there. We should run out and greet it with simcha and be like, it's my opportunity to bring some happiness, to bring a light into here, to try and show amongst all the darkness, really there is a light. There is such a thing as light. So that's where we are. So we're going to go farther in the text. The Tam says to the Chochom, he says, Achi Chavivi, my beloved brother, Ma ata oiseh, what are you doing? Baruch hamakom sheheviacha va'ani zoicha lirezecha. Blessed is Hashem that He brought you here, and that I merited to see you. Baruch Hashem. This is what he says. Let's see how Rav Kivak understands this. He says, Rabbeinu HaKadosh Megale, B'Torah Chaf Hey. So this is overt Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence. He's saying that Rabbi Nachman explains in lesson 25, Torah Chaf Hey, which is the lesson that we just finished in our Wednesday night Chabura last time. Right? So it's lining up very nicely. That he says like this, Kishahamedame Mizgaber Bein Kol Darga V'Darga. What happens to us is we're traveling through life, and we're moving, we're trying to always get higher and higher, and to grow. What happens? Between each level of growth, we find ourselves in a difficult place, and in a place of darkness where we have to fight against those klipas, those negative forces that are trying to hold us back from growing up to the next level. When we find ourselves in that place, there has to be a descent before any ascent, always. Right? We all know this to be true, and we've said it many times. Right? And Rabbi Nachman says over there, by the way, don't forget, what does he say? One of the most important ideas, that when we're facing challenges and difficulties, we said this last week, it's not because Hashem has pushed us away and doesn't want us. It's because we moved up to a new level. And from that new place, we now have new challenges to face. We have to knock out the evil forces of that new level. So when we find ourselves there, so between our waves of tamimus, right? Does anybody feel like this? Like tamimus is what we're going for, right? Tamimus is pure, nurturing simplicity. When things make sense and things go the way they're supposed to go, right? I feel like this comes in waves. We experience tamimus in waves throughout our lives. Sometimes we just find ourselves in a place where everything's going smoothly, and I feel good, and I'm in a good state of mind, and I have emunah, and things are flowing the way they're supposed to flow. I'm living with tamimus. The important things are important to me, right? I'm on the right path. It comes in waves, but between those waves, there's always a difficulty. There's a challenge, right? That's what he's saying. So it's when we find ourselves in this place. What's the advice that Rabbi Nachman gives us over here when we find ourselves in this place? His advice is one thing: is to thank Hashem and to think about and contemplate the greatness of the Creator. That's why he says over here, as soon as he meets the Chochom, he says, Baruch HaMakom Sheviacha, thank you Hashem, that he brought you here and I get to see you. This is how we face these difficult times. Is in that place of challenge and difficulty, thank Hashem for everything. Thank Hashem, contemplate the greatness of Hashem. That means when we find ourselves, I find I'm in a situation, I'm not davening properly, it's not going well, and I've fallen into negative thoughts, and I've come up with all these negative wisdoms and plans, schemes and philosophies. My toxic wisdom is working overtime, right? So what do I do? Yikpoitz miyad ve'yodel Hashem. Stand up and thank Hashem. Baruch hamakom shani yodeya shani tzarich l'sakenes tefillah. I'm having trouble davening. You know what? One of the ticket is to start getting out is to say, Baruch Hashem. I know there's something I have to fix in my tefillah, in my prayers. Right? Ashrei chelki shani yodeya sheini miskadesh karoi. I'm so fortunate that I realize that I'm not as holy as I should be. There's something missing. There's something I'm not doing right. Baruch Hashem, I realize it. And through this, and this is the way that we can begin to knock out this negative power of imagination that we experience, that we just talked about in lesson 25. So the thoughts come, all that stuff starts going on. Baruch Hashem, I realize it. I have awareness. My emunah is strong. I live with Hashem. I see what's happening. Baruch Hashem, I'm able to know that I need to change something. I'm able to know that there's something off. Right away, that will allow me to break through and begin the tikkun, to begin moving out from that place. Beautiful. So here's like this. So too, when it comes to times when parnasa is difficult, my livelihood is not going well, I should say, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, I know that I have to, for example, I have to marry off my children. Where am I going to find the money to make a bunch of weddings that are each going to cost $50,000, whatever they cost nowadays. I don't know honestly now if that's low or high, but that sounds like a lot of money to me. I think it's probably low. Yeah. So b'chol baya toida l'Hashem, in every problem that I have, thank Hashem that I know what the problem is. Okay, I have to marry my children off, and where am I going to get the money? Okay, Baruch Hashem, I know that it's going to be difficult. That's already the first step. That's the way to begin getting out of a dark place. Because he says, this is double underlined, Ki ikar bitul hamedame hulagalis hagavanim begadlus habayre. Okay, here we're getting into something very sweet now. The main way that we can wipe out the power, the medame, the negative power of imagination, is to reveal the supernal colors in the greatness of the Creator. What does that mean? Let me say a little bit more, then we'll explain it. Because all aspects of these toxic wisdoms and all aspects of suffering that I have, they come from fallen spheres and supernal colors. What does that mean? So he says, Yesh ahavos nefulos, there's fallen love, that goes into taivas, that goes into just raw physical desires. He doesn't say over here, but there's fallen fears, right? So like this, we know this concept of the 10 spheres, and each one of those spheres, we've spoken about this before, but each one of those spheres are an emanation of the light of Hashem into the world. The sphere of Chesed is a certain type of light of Hashem that comes into the world, that we see as a flow, a constant flow. Sometimes we call it kindness, but it really means a flow. There's a sphere called Gevura, which is a sphere of severity and withholding and strength. It's the power of knowing when to withhold light, of constricting light. That's one of the two ways that Hashem reveals himself in the world, and so too with all of the spheres. It's nothing less than the light of Hashem being revealed into the world in the way that it's supposed to be. Right? Like, it's a beautiful example, actually. You can't just have a strong flow. Chesed on its own does not work. It would just burn everything up in the world. It's too powerful. Right? We sometimes compare it to someone who's like an addict, right? If you just give and give and give to them, right? It's not kindness anymore. Because an unbridled flow without knowing when to restrain is not a gift. It's not positive. It's not good. You need to have the midah of gevura, of strength and severity and withholding, to know how to package that flow of energy, of chesed, properly. And then it becomes something usable, something that is going to do what it's supposed to do. And the two of them together, when they work together with each other, they become this beautiful midah of tiferes. These are 3 spheres that we just mentioned that come into the world and do something that they're supposed to do when they're done the right way. And of course, chesed is sometimes referred to as ahava, and gevura is sometimes referred to as yira, love and fear, right? So love has a special way that it's supposed to be revealed in the world, and fear has a special way that it's supposed to be revealed in the world. But what happens is we take these beautiful midos and we bring them in the world in the wrong way. We attach the wrong type of thought process to them, and we interact with them in the wrong way, so that they take on a fallen form. So when fear takes on a fallen form, how does it look? Right? Fear in its right place. Oh, is this such a beautiful idea? So fear, the word is yira, right? The letters of that, of course, are yud, resh, aleph, and hey. Right? So if you take those letters and you just mix them up a tiny bit, it becomes re'iyah, which means to see. And it's not an accident that yira and re'iyah have the same letters, right? Why? Because yira really means, when it's properly understood, it really means having the right perspective, the right way of seeing things in the world. It doesn't mean necessarily, it should sometimes also mean that I'm just afraid of Hashem. I don't want Hashem to give me a patch. Okay? Sometimes we need that also. But really it means that in whatever situation I'm in, my eyes are open. I see that the Hashem runs the world. I see that everything that happens is for a reason. Everything that happens is from Hashem. And with that perspective, I'm now going to behave in a different way. Right? That's really what Yira means. This type of beautiful perspective.
Sorry, people don't have the link to the class.
Oh, really? Just one second. Apparently, some people don't have the link to the class here. It's the same one. I didn't post it. You're right. Oh, I forgot. It's from like last week. Can you just can you just re-forward it? Yeah. Sorry, guys. So that's what Yira means. Yira means to have this perspective, taking the time, taking the space to be able to look and see Hashem in the world, and remember, be aware of the Rabbeinu HaKadosh in the world. By the way, it's so awesome in Torah Samech, in the Kuti Moran, Torah lesson number 60. So he explains over there that the inyan of arichas hanashima, of having long breaths, deep breaths, is something that focuses our yira, right? And remember, yira and re'iyah, fear and perspective are one thing. But you know what the lung is called in Hebrew? It's called, the lobes of the lung are called the kanfei hareya, same letters. The lungs themselves are the same letters as yira and re'iyah. Vision, perspective, and fear, and deep breathing are all connected. Like if you didn't, it's totally amazing. It's unbelievable, right? But that's when Yira is doing what it's supposed to do. But when Yira is not doing what it's supposed to do, what does it look like? It looks like I'm afraid to go outside because there's guys with flags outside, right? It looks like I'm afraid to open my mail because I'm worried what's going to be with the taxes that I owe, right? It's like I'm afraid to answer the phone because maybe it's the collection agency, whatever it is, right? Or you name it, any of these things. The fear gets enclosed into the wrong thing. And now, like his words over here, it's not the right gilui of those supernal colors. There's a beautiful supernal color of the light of Hashem that's supposed to be in the world right now, of Yira, and perspective, and vision, and of seeing Hashem. And you know where it is now? It's on my stupid mail. It's my anxiety of what's going to be with my paycheck, or whatever it is, right? And it's not coming into the world the way it's supposed to be. So too, with all of these things, with Ahava, when love is not put into the right place, so now love goes into just physical desires. And you have, men going out to see shows and to go to, whatever, I don't need to say. You know what I'm talking about, right? You could have men or women who look at other people in the community, at their spouses, and desire them because they feel that spouse has something that I'm missing, right? And I want that. It's the wrong place. The ahava is in the wrong place. It's falling down into a place it's not supposed to be. So the light of Hashem is not being actualized and revealed in the world. Rather, it's being pulled into a negative place. So let's read those words one more time now, with that in mind. The main way to knock out this negative aspect of our consciousness, which is when our thoughts and our imagination get going, the main way to do it is by revealing the supernal colors of the greatness of Hashem. Because in every aspect of negative wisdom, toxic wisdom, and suffering, every aspect of toxic wisdom and suffering is from the falling of these supernal colors of the spheres. It's from things not being aligned the way they're supposed to be aligned. I'm trying to read my notes here, right? If the spheres are not aligned and are not being expressed in the right channel, right? So that power is going to be put into something else. And it's going to be toxic, and it's going to be painful. It's going to be yisurin, suffering, right? It's going to be toxic consciousness. So what do? We don't get angry about it, and we don't just go and complain about it. Rather, we try to reveal those colors in the way they're supposed to be revealed. And we don't yell at the darkness. We bring in the light. Right? Is that a song lyric? It sounds like a song lyric, I think. I just thought of something crazy over here. There's sometimes we fall into these types of toxic wisdom where we're looking in our thought processes how can I make my life good? How can I make my life good? There's this thing that I see. Okay, you guys probably don't see this anywhere. I don't know, maybe you do. But there's this group of I don't know how many there are, but I see a lot of them. Like male motivational speaker type of people, like coaches type of people, right? And they're all trying to say how I'm going to teach you how to get your relationship going again. I'm going to teach you how to get your business back on track and get the respect of your wife again, and it's not what you think it's going to be. And all of these men, I don't know what the story is, they're all like very muscular. They're all wearing a toque. They're always wearing a toque, or for you guys who aren't in Canada, I think you call them a beanie, like a winter hat. And they all have a lot of tattoos, and they're very aggressive. And there's a bunch of these things out there, a bunch of people putting out this wisdom. I'm going to fix your life for you. Right? And full disclosure, I have not looked into it. I'm sure probably they have some good things to say. Right? But you could spend a lifetime going down all these rabbit holes, maybe you want to call them, I don't know. Going through these things and trying to, it can be your new wisdom, your toxic wisdom now is that I'm going to sort it all out. I'm going to fix everything. Me, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to get all the information and I'm going to fix my spouse. Right? So, this is what he's saying. This is the wisdom of chesed that has fallen. The wisdom of chesed that has fallen. But when you thank Hashem, I would say it's a good time to throw in the other meaning of moedeh, which can be to be thank and also to admit. When you thank Hashem and admit to Hashem, just like, okay, Hashem, I don't know what to do. And thank Hashem, I'm here in the situation and I know something's wrong. Baruch Hashem, right? What do? Naise kotel ushira samida. We make a kotel again. Remember from last week we had the kotel? That was in Wednesday's class. It's like an amazing crossover here. Kotel was the first half of the word was chavav, which is the gematria 26, which is the name of Hashem, and tel is the word for a mound. The old an old hill. It means past, the history, whatever. The negative state. I bring Hashem chavav into that place, and I make this place of hope, which is called the kotel, the kotel, right? By just bringing Hashem into it and saying, okay, Hashem, I don't know what to do. Thank you for putting me here. Thank you for making me realize that something has to happen. Thank you. I've done the beginning of the work now. I've started. I see the darkness. I can see how Hashem is found within this yucky place that I'm in my mind. And I know another important point. Okay, we don't always know why bad things happen, right? Or why we suffer, why we go through difficult stages. We don't always know why, right? Maybe I shouldn't say we don't always know why. I never know why. Sometimes maybe I learned something. Maybe I saw that had to happen to teach me something, right? But you know what? Sometimes things happen and we don't get to see that there's a good reason for it. Sometimes it's for the purpose of kaparas avonis, of a atonement for my sins, right? If we would look back and we would see all the things that we did, it wouldn't be such a surprise that I need to have some atonement, right? But sometimes this is why some people like to say, Sephardim like to say this in particular. You get a little fender bender or something, you can say, oh, okay, it should be a kapara. Kapara, right? It should be a kapara, right? We said recently, something happens, you lose some money somehow in the world, whatever it is, or you get in a car accident. Say, okay, it should be a kapara, and thank you Hashem that it's my car and it's not my body, it's not my family, God forbid, right? Okay, it's a kapara, right? That's also bringing good conscience into here. Maybe I'm going through a rough time, and you know what? Maybe I just got to go through it. Thank you Hashem, I'm here. It's the beginning, because if I think, you hear what's going on over here? Sometimes I just have to go through it. And if I spend my whole time thinking about all the ways that I can figure out how to fix it and how to do this and how to do that, maybe I'm not even supposed to fix it. Maybe it just has to pass. And then I'm going to be in a whole new state. This is the life of the Tam. Not to always be looking, what can I do here? What can I do? How can I make this? How can I make that? But just to do what I'm supposed to do every day. And after, a month, Hashem will give me something. It will give me an aliyah. Hashem will build me up. After a year, I'll see I'm in a whole different place. Not because I figured it out and I did all the right? No. Just I'm loyal to Hashem. I have emunah. I have tmimus. And through that, Hashem builds me up. Right? Beautiful. I realize that this nefila, this descent I'm experiencing, is atoning for something. And maybe I'll figure it out, and I'll know how I have to fix things up. This is what the Tam can be happy that I know, I see, right? And it all, once again, it's all coming down to emunah, and what do we used to say all the time? Active awareness. Right? Hashem's with me. What should I be worried about? It's difficult, okay? This is a very special part. So, through doing this, what do? We're linking together the Tam and the Chochom. And we're making putting the two of them together, a vessel for Chachma de Kedusha. I don't know if we said this word many times yet, but there is a good Chachma that we all want to have and we should all aspire to, right? We don't say Chachma is bad. We say this Chachma of the Chacham is bad. But there's Chachma de Kedusha. And Chachma de Kedusha is what happens when Tmimus and Chachma go together. When simplicity and wisdom go together, right? And a person has to prepare themselves when we begin to try to live a life of a Tam. Yeda shehine ba hachacham. I have to know that the Chacham is going to come, barash gadol, with great noise, with great pomp and circumstance. And I must prepare myself. How to go out and greet him. Right? Face to face with simcha. Because if I don't prepare myself, I will never be able to achieve this level of tamimus. Let's hear these words. When the Chochom and Tam come together, they make a vessel for Chochma de Kedusha. This is what we were just kind of saying. And it's the whole story, right? It's that the Tam, it's the best way to say it. We haven't said it like this yet. It's not that the Tam doesn't go out and try to force wisdom into him. He doesn't go out and try to decide how to fix everything, or like it sounds worst or best, whichever, right? When you say he doesn't try to figure out how he can fix his spouse, right? Or how he can fix all the people who are wrong around him, right? Rather, what does he do? He makes himself into a vessel that will be able to receive the wisdom. Real wisdom. Chochma de Kedusha. Right? It's why, because, one of the main questions that we're always asking over here is what? So I'm just supposed to do nothing? I'm supposed to let everything happen and I shouldn't aspire to anything? Does the Tam not desire to be closer? Doesn't the Tam not desire to be on a higher level? Yes, he does. But the Tam realizes that the way I do that is by making myself into a vessel, as opposed to try and grab everything on my own. Right? So this is the derech of the Tam over here. Yeah, that's how we get out, by making ourselves into a vessel rather than trying to reach and grab everything. Does that make sense? Yeah? It's very sweet words to me, honestly.
Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome? Ah, I like that one. That's a good one. Gam kol ha'olam haya be'einav kaloi. Mikol shekein ish kazeh. So the Chochom, the whole world was like nothing to him. We're going on to a new step now. The whole world was insignificant to him, meant nothing to him. And certainly this crazy person, the Tam, right? Shenid me'ela meshuga, that appeared to him to be crazy. Okay, we're still in the same story obviously, but we're moving on to a new thought now. Rabbeinu Mesaper, ma naseh im ha'adam k'shenoifel ha'chachmas. Rabbeinu Nachman is going to tell us now, what does a person do when they fall into chachmas? Mesaper eichanu nir'im, how do we appear? She'achacham mistakal be'enei ha'geus va'tipshus. That the Chochom looks through his eyes of pride, ego, and stupidity. A mabat meshuga v'tipshi. He has a stupid and crazy perspective of the world. Because to him, the whole world is nothing. The whole world is useless. Right? This is not a helpful perspective to have. And it doesn't make sense. Like, we are obviously. I'm not saying in a purely scientific sense. I'm saying we're people who believe that there's meaning and purpose in the world. So it can't be that everything else in the world is useless. How can I look at people and say, "Ugh, this person is useless. I don't want to have anything to do with this person. They're useless." Right? I don't want to be anywhere around this place. There's no point in anything. It's all below me. It's all beneath me. It's all stupid. It's all crazy, and it's useless. It doesn't make sense, right? If there's meaning to the world, there's a purpose in the world. There's a purpose for me and no one else, right? It doesn't make sense. This that Rabbeinu Nachman is telling us over here, that in the eyes of the Chochom, the whole world was nothing. What does it mean? He means that the purpose of the world was nothing to him. Because the whole purpose of the creation is that every single person in the world, kol adam ba'olam, every person in the world has a makom chashivas etzla yizbarach, is important to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's something important about that person. And if he wasn't supposed to be here, he wouldn't be here. Right? Everything in the world Hashem is creating for a purpose. And every person has an important purpose. I would add, by the way, like I feel this very strongly. I'm sure we spoke about this before also. When we meet someone in the world and we become connected to a person, like Hashem is telling us, you guys are supposed to be here together. There's something that you're supposed to do together, right? There's a reason why you're coming together, and we should, it's like it can really help us to do good things in the world. It can help us to be on the track of kedusha, to be like, why did I meet, these three ladies who are sitting here right now, right? We have to do good stuff together, for sure, right? And we do already. Right, this is important, and that's why we're here, and we're like, we can't. Hashem wanted it. The world can't exist any other way than we're together. We know each other, and right. It's supposed to be like this. The Chochom is like the opposite of this. Chochom was like, get me away from these people. These people are useless. I don't want anything to do with these people. This is what the Chochom thinks. Right? It's crazy. He doesn't see the value in him. Beprotius im keshenase roish gadol ubayim achachmas loy zachisa lakabel panehem karoi. So, like this. He says, so Rabbeinu, sorry, I skipped the part. Rabbeinu Masaper Maseh Chochom she'navin eich anu nirim be'emes. Rabbi Nachman is telling us this is how we look. Really, if we live in the world and we don't have this awareness and we don't prepare ourselves, like he said, to be able to see this. This is how we look. It looks like we're saying the whole purpose of the world is nothing in my mind. Right? It doesn't make it right. And so too, on an individual level, when we find ourselves, when we're doing very well, and now all of a sudden these toxic consciousness starts to come, the Chochma comes, and we don't go out to greet it in the right way, like we're saying over here. Right away we're gonna fall into the like he uses the word later on, tit yaven, which means like thick cement, like the we're gonna be stuck, quicksand. Yeah, we're gonna find ourselves in this place of chachma that we can't get out, like quicksand. Yeah, quicksand is a good word. Why it is that why are we not able to make a tikkun? We can't get out of it. We're stuck. Why can't we get out? It's because by you, if we're in this type of state, it's because we don't realize that every single person in the world, every single place, every single moment in the world has a tafkid chashuv v'chavod miyuchad, has an important purpose and a unique honor, a unique kavod to it. It's there for something. Valkein, v'imkein, lama ata shoiver es atzmecha. This is what the Talmud says to the Chochom now. What are you breaking yourself over here for? Don't you know that the world is not empty and void? Every single person, every single day, and every single moment, there's a special purpose for it. And there's a special test at every single time. There's a new pride and splendor that Hashem can take in every moment. And you're just dismissing it all? Right? So the Tam is saying things like we've been saying the whole time. He's like, you know what? Oh, it's the morning time. I'm going to say my morning prayers. And this is what an opportunity. Right now is the time. That's it. There's no other thing I need to do right now in the world. There's no other purpose. There's nothing better for me to do right now. I'm going to daven. I'm going to pray. And this is it. I'm fulfilling the purpose of creation. It couldn't get better. Right? And then it's going to be the next thing when I go and have my coffee, right? And I take it and I'm about to make that bracha. There's nothing else in the world that Hashem wants more now than I should just make a good, honest, heartfelt bracha on my coffee. Amazing, right? This is the life of the Tam, right? And you know what the Chochom does? He's like, this, useless. This, useless. Nothing. No. Nothing. The Tam is taking every moment and living it and focusing on it and appreciating it and making it something good and special and important and unique, right? And the Chochom is just like, no, I don't need you guys. Get out of here. You guys are useless. You guys are worthless, right? You know how he's never happy at the restaurants. He's never happy at the hotels. It's like, Hashem just wants you to go, take that food and acknowledge the light, the godly light that's in it, and make a bracha. This is what Hashem's waiting for. That's all that needs to happen. And it's literally, the world is perfect when you do that. Every moment is perfect if you do that. And the Chochom's like, no, thank you. That's useless. I know better. That's the Chochom. That's it. It's beautiful. What do you think, guys?
But there are times that we are in the wrong crowd and people we should not be around. It even says in Tehillim, like, don't be amongst,
Atzas Rishayim. Yeah.
Or whatever, like.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to know where we belong and where we don't, and some things are not good for us. So how do you differentiate? I mean, we're not saying we're better, but we're at a different maybe stage or.
Right. 100%. So same thing though, right? It's not like one of the words he used over here was yesh tafkid v'nisayon meyuchad. Right? Could very well be that I find myself in a place where things are going away that they should not be going for me. Something's going to happen that I don't want to be part of. I could say, oh, Baruch Hashem, there's a nisayon meyuchad right here for me. Right? The Chochom might say the opposite, by the way. Like, just imagine you find yourself amongst a group of people who are about to hedonistically participate in all of the vanities of the world together. I usually say in such a situation, use your imagination, but not too much. Right? Drugs, alcohol, men, women, whatever the story is, right? They're about to all get involved in such a thing, right? So in that case, it could be that the person of the Chochom is like, okay, I'm gonna go along with that and experience the pleasures. But the Tom's like, oh, this is a time right now. I don't need to be upset that I'm not gonna go with those people. I don't need to be upset that I'm gonna miss out. Oh, it's a nisayon miyuchad for me right now. Thank you, Hashem. I realize. Thank you, Hashem, that I realize something's not right here. That I shouldn't be here. Right? Thank you, Hashem. It's the same thing. A few of us have the problem of knowing people who like to say a lot of lashon hara, who like to just non-stop talk badly and negative about people. Right? So sometimes we can do we talked about like little tricks, try and change the subject, try and channel the discussion in a certain way. But sometimes it's like, I have to be like, oh, you know what? Look at the time. Sorry guys, forgot, I got an appointment, I gotta go. I have a tafkid miyuchad, a nisayon miyuchad right now. Right? But with simcha. I can see what's happening to me now. I'm going down that path. The Chochmah is coming. I'm going down that negative path. I'm being pulled. And he's saying, get out in front of it. Right away. Don't be shy. Don't be sad. Don't be angry. Just be like, oh, Baruch Hashem. Oh, I see Hashem, exactly what's happening here. Thank you. I gotta get out of here. Or the opposite. Sometimes so maybe some of you know also that there's a lot of people out there that are like annoying, hard to deal with people, but who are good people and like they legitimately need something from you, or you need something from them, whatever it is, right? It's the same thing. Someone comes to you and you're like, oh, this person again. Oh my gosh. But they're a good person, no lashon hara, nothing bad, right? They want you to do something good. But you're just like, oh, come on, seriously, right now? And like, I don't know what it is. I'm sure it happens to everybody. But it seems to happen to me all the time that always, right the moment that I sit down to eat dinner with my family, like the one time we're together, there's like a knock at the door, the doorbell rings, right? And it's who knows who from who knows where. And something has to be done, right? And so I've had to train myself. I get very annoyed, right? But that's the time to say, okay, Hashem, I see what's happening over here. Thank you for keeping me on my toes. I'm gonna go and be nice and be welcoming and be happy and make sure that what's supposed to happen is gonna happen right now, right? Not obviously, I'm not just supposed to have a tranquil dinner right now. Yeah. So it can go both ways. I can use this to take myself out of toxic situations, or to kind of force my own hand to do the right thing in other situations, right? Beautiful. Yeah, what do you got?
What about applying boundaries?
Yeah. That's the first side. Yeah, 100%.
Even if it's a family.
Yeah, even if it's family sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, boundaries are sometimes very important. It's a good point. Sometimes that's the way this looks. Right? Is that there's certain people that we know who just can bring out the worst in us. And who can take us into places where we know we can't go. And so we have to put up boundaries, and we have to be strong with them, and we have to do it in the way of seichel, and let's talk about it at the end. Yeah. Okay, next step. That's the second step of today, and one more step, I think, probably. And there's something really awesome, but it might be for next week. The Chochom anal, back to the story. And the Chochom, Gam kol olam haya be'einav koloi. The world meant nothing to him. Mikol shekein ish kazeh. Certainly, this guy, the Tam, shed nidmeh le'meshuga, that he looks like a crazy person. He looks crazy. So what's going on over here? What is Rabbi Nachman trying to tell us over here? So this is interesting. So he says, Mekeven she'ein lo emunah, since the Chochom doesn't have emunah, and he's fallen into this realm of toxic consciousness. So he has to get out of here. So what's going on over here? What's going on with him? So too by us, when we find ourselves in these situations. Ella, pardon me. She'eno mizyaches l'chol zeh ki zeh mufrach etzlei. So he sees. I'm sorry, I missed a spot here. כשבא מחשבה אמיתית שאתה מנסה להכתיר בעגלס החכם איזה רעיון של תמימות ודרך ישרה. The Tam runs out to his wagon and says, you know what, I'm going to try and shine the light of tamimus to this place of crazy negative wisdom. Yeah? A derech yeshara, tamimus, a upright path. He should be, the Chochom should be lovingly accepting the advice of the tzaddik that the Tam is trying to give to him. He's like, listen, I got a whole track for you. It's called Tamimus. Here, listen to this. Listen to how awesome this could be, right? And what does this guy think? Ella, she'eno mizyaches l'chol zeh, k'zeh mufrach etzlei, she'etza shel Rabbeinu tuchel lohel. So first of all, he doesn't want to hear it. Because it's like, it's not something that a person of his stature, that the wisdom of some rabbi should help me. Me? I'm brilliant. I'm not one of these guys from 200 years ago who wrote a book. I'm a modern person. I know science. I know business. I'm a successful business person, and I gotta. This. Why even bother? There's not going to be anything for me there. You ever hear that one before from people? Afilu sha'ata medaber le'inyan. Even aval harayesh loy pnei meshuch. So even if he's saying something that kind of makes sense, this guy's crazy. But from this guy, I'm not listening to this guy, right? I'm sure we're guilty of this sometimes. V'chol pagam ha'chacham she'eno misrape la'eis ata. The whole. What's wrong with the chacham? That he's not being healed from his sickness at this moment. Mashadayin kol kach over aleinu. And this happens to us also. Who aydezeh hatois shed nidme sheledarchei hachayim hatoivim muchach liyos lezeh meshuga. Because he thinks that maybe he sees a kernel of truth. Maybe he sees, this guy is happy. He's always happy. I want to be happy too. I'm never happy. Maybe he sees that. But he's like, if I want that, I gotta be crazy like this person. I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that guy. I don't want to be like that crazy guy. Right? If we want to live with the holiness of the Tam, it's like we have to have I don't know if he means a round head. Agil ve'esmach kazeh ki nidme la'adam sha'atzlacha ha'yechida hiliyos kefi meshuga. It seems like the only way I'm going to be successful is to be crazy like this person. V'kevin sha'anu be'einenu kevilti meshuga. And since we think we're not crazy, l'chein noiflim le'yush Me'or Tmimus. Therefore, we fall into despair. We give up because we think. I know a guy, by the way. This is wonderful. So I know a guy. He's like he has some kind of like developmental delay, right? Wonderful person though. Wonderful person. Very helpful, nice. Like he lives in the world normally. He's like a high functioning person, right? But I'm telling you, I've never ever seen this person without a smile on his face. Right? He's always happy, and some people might look at someone teaching the Torah Rabbi Nachman like me and say the same thing. This guy's obviously very simple, and he's happy a lot, right? I don't want to be a simple crazy person like this guy, right? Stupid people are happy. Yeah, I hear. Yeah. Tom. Simple people are happy. Simple people are happy. Remember, we said at the very beginning of this story, like he said very, very clearly, Tom does not mean stupid. Tom means simple. Right? But someone who's extremely bright is probably has more of a chance of being pulled into Chochom like this. It may be a little bit easier for a simpler person to be sometimes, but sometimes not. Anyway, it's but what he's saying over here is that this is what it might be too much for us. Like this can come in a few ways, like you might have a person who will listen to this shiur and watch the video and be like, oh, if I want to follow this, I gotta have a big beard now, and I have to dress a certain way and like I have to not speak to my friends with lashon hara, and this guy is obviously pretty crazy, not normal from standard North American societal norms. Okay, it's true. I'm not normal from standard North American societal norms, right? It's true, and they might look and say, "But if I want happiness and I want tamimus, I have to be crazy like this guy, right?" The problem is because that person thinks they're not crazy. And really, that's the craziness. That's the biggest craziness, is that to be drawn into all of this crazy, toxic way of thinking and being pulled into negativity and despair and fear and sadness and crazy thoughts, truth is false and false is truth and all this stuff, and to think that's the norm. Right? Look in the world today. I know we say this come out every week, but everything's upside down. So much stuff. Like it always blows my mind. Like even if you would go back 20 years, 30 years for sure, right? And literally everything is backwards from the way it was in the realm of morality. And if 20 years before that, it's even worse, right? And so what? All of a sudden, in 30 years, everything was wrong, and now all these new things are obviously the correct way, right? So there's this vision right now that in our society there's a set of parameters that are deemed to be normal and sane, which are totally, absolutely crazy and insane, and so a person can't look and say, "Oh, I want tamimus, and I want to be happy. I want to have that nurturing simplicity, right? But if I do that, I got to be one of these people. I got to be one of these crazies. I can't do it." That is one of the biggest stumbling blocks and downfalls. This is what he's saying over here, of this, of the whole thing. This is why it's hard for him, right? This is going on this part of the story where he says, "Chochom." So the whole world was meaningless to him, was like nothing. Certainly this guy who appeared to be crazy, right? So he's saying sometimes it's hard because we think that in order to do good things, we're gonna have to go into the realm of crazy. We're gonna be labeled crazy, right? And Rabbi Nachman's telling us over here, he's explaining that who's really crazy. I feel like this is one of those things that we have to really have like a shmira on, because we can find ourselves very easily thinking maybe I got it figured out right, and because we fluctuate and we go through different stages in our life, and maybe I can easily get into a place where I'm like, those people got it wrong, and I got it figured out. I don't want to be crazy like them, but I should always be open to. It's interesting. I should always be open to the fact that I might be crazy. So I know this sounds this all sounds pretty crazy, but in the stories of Rabbi Nachman, there's one story. It's a 1 paragraph long story, and the story goes. It's called the I think in English it's something like the tainted wheat. You ever hear the story? So the story goes like this: that there was. Hold on a second. Everybody, pause for 1 second, okay? Just a quick pause. I'm trying to edit it out for recording. We're always supposed to have an English copy of the stories of Rabbi Nachman.
I would take simple and happy any day.
Where is it? Come on.
And happiness, it's like. Can you Google it?
No, it's okay. I'll just say it outside. And if we get the details wrong, we can say it next week. Anyway, the story goes like this: that there's these 2 people in the story. I feel like one's a king, maybe. But anyway, so they realize, they come to a place and they realize that the people are going crazy, and that it's because the wheat all has been tainted with something, and as soon as people eat it, they go crazy, right? So they said, so what should we do? Because they realize that if the food is all the food is tainted, we're gonna go crazy. So what do? So they each made a sign on their forehead, so that the sign would tell them that they know that they're crazy. So the 2 of them each had the sign, so at least they would know that they were crazy, and they'd be the only 2 of the whole place that actually knew that they were crazy, right? So that's it. That's the whole story. That's it. It's like a 1 paragraph little story, but it's this idea that we have to be on our toes, and at least know that we're always vulnerable to falling into this type of craziness, and thinking we got it all figured out, and thinking that they're wrong and really I'm right, and I'm right and really they're wrong. Like we have to be open to an extent, but at the same time not. It's a tightrope that we have to walk, But over here, this is now with what the world's going through. It's pretty clear that there's a lot of craziness out there, and it's hard for people. I know there's people who are here right now with us who have family members who are very strongly entrenched in this craziness. And what can you do? There's if
They tell you you're crazy.
yeah, and they won't want to hear. They won't want to hear. They don't want to be healed from that way of thinking, even if they see you're happy. Maybe. I always like to think that if you're, and I always say this, by the way, you'll know this. It's if the only thing you can do sometimes is to just be a great example. Be a happy person. Maybe at least they'll see, because this is what happens over here. But then the very next thing we're gonna see, right? Is why does the Chochom go together? After everything we just said today, the Chochom wants to stay far away from the Tam, right? So why does he go together with the Tam again? Because of Ahavas HaNeurim, because of the love that he has for him from their youth. right? Something wakes up, and when he uses the word youth over here, I believe at least one of the ways that I understand it is that he's talking about something very like from our very deep selves. You know how we say that our soul is like kind of like the child before the princess is lost. You know, that aspect of us, that untainted, sweet, innocent aspect of ourselves, right? That part of the Chochom wants nothing more than to be happy, to be simple, to be complete, to be good, right? And everybody has this. So
this is this part of the story you start to see the shift.
Yeah, this is where the shift begins. Yeah. So this is what I think is that sometimes, you know, just to be the best example you can be, and be a person who, if you walk the walk of Tamimus and of the Tam, people notice. You know, you can see it. This is a good person. This is a happy person. This is the type of person that I want to be with. This is when I'm here, I have good feelings. You know, it feels right. That's that deep part of ourselves that always wants good and always wants happiness, simplicity, right? It's there, and that's the part that wakes up. So, Ritz Hashem, we'll keep going. Okay. What do we got, guys? Any what's it called? Comments? Oh man, we talked in the middle of this class a few times, though we normally don't. But no. Okay, everybody have an awesome week, and I'm around on Wednesday. We're going to be doing on Wednesday Torah Chaf Vav 26, which is a short, probably like one class lesson, and then 27 will be long again. But Ritz Hashem, we'll get through it. We'll try to find some deep stuff in it. It'll probably take us 2 weeks, but we'll see. Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.